Hey everyone, Jason Sherman here. In today's episode of Zero to CEO, I have with me President and CEO of Deely Media International, Nikki Deely. Thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm excited to be here, Jason.
Me too. This is a cool episode because we're going to discuss how artificial intelligence helps acquire customers on demand. People think about artificial intelligence, HAL from 2001 Space Odyssey, the evil genius computer robot who took over the space station. But nowadays, we have artificial intelligence embedded in our phones. We have Siri and we have, all sorts of different ways that people don't even realize we're using it. What are some of the ways besides your business that people overlook AI in their lives that you can kind of point out?
All right. Well, let me see if we can run through two strategies because I think that's important. One is a mobile app, but with the AI technology. So let me tell you why I'm a big fan of that. There is a 1.2 billion pieces of data that gets removed from your cell phone, or people are searching for it, and 95% of businesses do not have an app. So that's your opportunity. And there's over 9 billion smartphones, and the average person is spending about 4.5 hours on their smartphone. So if you don't have a mobile app on your phone, you are missing the boat. You're leaving money on the table, because this is like having a big banner on the freeway, or you can replace your digital ads, or even the coupons that come into your envelopes at home in your residences. The benefits are not only because of brand loyalty, like I said, coupons, special offers, discount codes, promotions. You can enhance your email list. You can actually get customers on demand if you have the certain type of technology, meaning you can instant message them. And how that looks like is there is a little number on one of these icons, and there's another one here. That means I've got a notification, something that the business is trying to get me to open and see. So whenever that happens, you basically can get customers on demand, and people don't really understand the power of that. And also, because it's on your phone, and so many times people are using their phone, you can put directions to your business, menus, like if you're a restaurant.
Right. So let's touch on it. You've gone through a lot of points here. We need to touch on some of them,
Okay,
of course, because
okay.
it's a little. I think for a lot of business owners or entrepreneurs getting started, everything you just said is going to be a bit of an overload for people, because you mentioned 95% of people don't have mobile apps. So now everything you just said is catering to the 95% of people that don't have mobile apps.
Correct.
So 95% of people, we're going to just put a number out there. 100 million people, 95 million don't have mobile apps. So how do we tell those 95 million people, number one, you need a website for your business? I mean, this goes back to the .com days when I started out, and everybody under the sun was getting a domain name and getting a website. You mentioned restaurants. I go online, I look up the restaurant menu, I can scan it at restaurants, I can pay for food using Grubhub and Uber Eats and DoorDash, et cetera. So that kind of has translated to third-party companies that saying, well, you guys don't have menus, you guys don't have websites, we'll take care of it for you. So they don't really need mobile apps, but there are businesses that don't have third-party software that could use mobile apps. So what my question is going to be, how does a business owner identify the need for a mobile app versus just a website that works on a mobile browser? Because there's a difference. Mobile apps are more, they cost more money to build. You have to submit them to the app store. There's some sort of maintenance that goes into it, versus a website. It's just HTML, CSS, JavaScript, pop it up, and then you have it live on your domain and people can find you on the web. So let's talk about that difference there.
Well, I agree with you that everybody should have a website, but I disagree in that even restaurants need to have a mobile app. They are one of the services that I think should really have one, and mainly because we go out to eat at restaurants all the time. Okay, so why should a business have one? And is because it sits on your phone. So it's not something you're now going and thinking about, okay, now I need to go onto Google from my mobile phone or desktop and find a restaurant, for example. It can already be here. And if it's already here, you're more likely to touch it and find out what's going on, especially if the restaurant has the loyalty program, right? You and I probably have had these conversations of, well, where do you want to eat, Jason? Oh, I don't care, Nikki. Where do you want
I
to
really don't care.
Exactly. We have these conversations with our wives, our friends, family. But if in fact that restaurant or that business, let's say stick with restaurants right now, has their app here, then we're going to be probably more inclined to go to that restaurant because of the loyalty program, and I'm going to get something free or I'm going to achieve something free. But it doesn't have to just be a restaurant. It can be any type of business because it sits on your phone.
Right. So it's on the phone, easy access, user engagement on a more regular basis, loyalty programs, basically incentivizing people to open the app and say, hey, we're on your phone. Check us out. Here's a push notification, 20% off today, all sorts of stuff like that. How does artificial intelligence come into play? Because that's a totally different space than mobile apps. I mean, I build mobile apps. And you know, AI doesn't really come into play with mobile apps unless you're starting to automate things, whether it's customer service, whether it's matching algorithms, you know, other things like that.
Because our software, we have a proprietary software and it has AI built into it. And we have over 20 different types of custom or semi-custom features into our app.
What are the top 3 people like to use the most?
Customer service, GPS, for example, geo targeting, for example.
So walk me through that. I'm a new business owner. I want geo targeting in my app. What do we get here?
Let's go back to the restaurant. Pretend my face is Nikki's Cafe.
Okay.
So this is where geographically it's located.
Okay.
And there's a circumference, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anytime, now this is using our software, so I can't speak about anybody else's, but anytime a mobile device, even a tablet, goes into this circle around Nikki's Cafe, because it knows that that cell phone is in this geographic area, then it will push an ad for that business, that restaurant.
Got it. So geofencing, really, I think is what that's called, right?
Yes.
And geolocation, geotarget. Okay, so we're targeting people. We're in the future now. This is now 2050, and people are getting ads based on where they are, just like Back to the Future when they would show up and then the ads would target them in the face. It kind of reminds me of that. So that's cool. So that's one good way of targeting people. Now, are you targeting them based on their interests from what they browse, like their browsing history, or are you just hitting them with ads because they're in the area?
It depends on the client's business. So obviously, if it's a restaurant, they're more inclined to walk into that business, right? Because they're in the geolocation. If, for example, if I'm in Dallas and you're in Cincinnati, that's not going to work.
Right.
For
No.
that business.
But
so
what if I fly in for a business trip from Cincinnati to Dallas, and now I pass your restaurant, knowing that I'm not going to be going back there? That's a good question that I'd like to know. Like, so I'm coming in for business one day. I'm probably never going to come back again. Maybe I will. Who knows? But I get this ad, and I'm like, well, I guess I'll try it out. But I'm never coming back. So
it doesn't matter. It'll pop up anyway.
Okay, so it doesn't really look at your, you know, where you live. Basically, it just looks at you passing through. All right. Yeah. So what are the other hot AI?
The other one that I'm really, really excited is AI chatbots. We may have heard about it or not, but let me also share some stats. 85% of customers will make a decision without a human reaction.
Right.
Mark Zuckerberg from Meta or Facebook says that the reason for his success in the next 10 years, so he's forward thinking, is because of AI chatbots. They're not all the same. You definitely need to have some very strong expertise in creating complex dialogue strategies. Our software is proprietary again. We don't have to ask you for an email or a phone number like many people have to opt in. It searches through AI and gets your email address from Facebook and gets your cell phone from other sources on the stratosphere that you might have put that information on, so that we have a very more personable interaction. So if, let's say, you and I are trying to decide on what to buy your wife, for example, for an anniversary, and it could start off with a quiz like, okay, how much are you wanting to spend? A lot, medium, or
like different price points. It might give you price points.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So then it could ask you some maybe choices of niches. Does she like electronics, beauty and bath?
It's basically a survey.
Exactly. Or a quiz, yes.
Yeah, it's like a survey.
But it really, because of the AI feature, Jason, it will, let's say it even asks, how much time do you have to spend with me right now?
Right.
If you say, I got a dash,
I got 5 minutes.
It's not going to communicate with you over and over. It's going to get you straight to what you need. But if the AI bot decides, hey, this is somebody a little bit more personable, they may have a little bit more time, they might ask you some more questions. But the key is, I'm not going to ask you for an email or a phone number. I might say, Jason, can I send you these 3 selections to this email? And you're probably going to freak out. Like, how did you know? Because I didn't opt in, right?
Right.
And so that's the power of the AI in the chatbots software that we have. And so those complex dialogue strategies are just like key, Jason.
Yeah, I've used those in Amazon. When I do like a refund, I'll jump into the chat bot and it'll ask me like, is it this order you're talking about? And I'm like, yep, that's the one. I click on it and then it says like, what's the problem with it? And then I'll pick one of the answers and then it'll say, okay, it sounds like we're going to have to help you a little bit more with this. We will pass you to customer service, or we're going to give you a refund, just, ship it back. So like a lot of it happens through the chat bot. So I can see how companies would rather use AI to communicate with their customers versus having to get, a paid person to do that. What other uses does your software have, and how can that help people acquire customers? Because that's really the meat and potatoes of the conversation here, is how AI helps you acquire customers besides the geo-targeting.
Yeah. So the geo-targeting is for the mobile app. Well, the AI chatbot, you get 80 to 90% response rate. So it would be great if you're an affiliate marketer, if you're list building for a sales letter, if you have an e-com store, e-commerce, Amazon, Etsy, there's all kinds of platforms. If you're a local business, like a restaurant, for example, or a consultant, an author, let's say you could use an AI chatbot for webinar in registrations, or freelancers, or any type of service businesses. Basically, an AI chatbot should be able to work for any type of business, providing it has a capacity to work with certain websites, right? So ours works with WordPress, ClickBanks, Leadpages, Shopify, JVZoo, ClickBanks. I mean, you name it, it works with it.
That's great. So it's integratable with pretty much any kind of software. And so this also means that the business, you're saying 95% don't have mobile apps. So how do we get the 95% of these people onto the mobile app train and then get your software in there? I mean, that might sound overwhelming to somebody. It might sound like an added expense that they may not be ready for. So what's your answer for that?
Well, they need to talk to us because we're very affordable. You can go to howmuchtommakeanapp.com. It's a third-party website, and you can find out how much apps really cost. And then you will see how ours are anywhere between 7,000 to 10,000. And because they're listening to your show, which, by the way, I love the name, I'm going to give them a $2,000 discount.
Oh, wow.
Free consultation. If they're interested in the chatbot, you said you used it for Amazon.
Yep.
Amazon has this huge budget. Well, most small businesses don't.
Yeah.
So again, we own our own software, so we, invest into it ourselves. It's a small few $1,000s upfront, and then they can be as low as $150 a month to maintain the chatbot. And it's really the complex dialogues that we're an expert in.
Interesting. And so if a business owner has a specific type of dialogue that they want, maybe they want it to be more about specific menu items or products they're selling, or maybe it's more about customer service. So I'm assuming here they have options to tweak the chat bot in a lot of different directions. I'm assuming you have a dashboard that lets them kind of play around with it. What about if they want to jump in? If the chat bot, someone got stuck somewhere, can somebody jump in and take over?
So we don't let them have access to the dashboard. We're going to we're going to look at the metrics. We're going to refine everything for them. We're going to consult with them first, because obviously if you are a divorce attorney or personal injury attorney, you're going to be referring to your prospects as clients.
Right.
If you are a hair salon, they're customers, right? So we need to understand your culture. We need to understand, like if you are in a surf shop by a beach store, we might say, hey, dude,
Cowabunga, right?
Yeah,
it's gonna be a different kind of dialogue. That makes sense. So you're gonna cater to the needs of the type of client or customer. Sounds awesome. Sounds like something that people definitely need. Business owners out there watching or listening, call her up. Go. Where's the website? Where can they find out more about your software and sign up? And what's the code?
Okay. So I want them to send me an email personally, but my website, it will be at the end of my email. So it's Nikki, N as in Nancy, IKI. .Dealey, D as in David, EALEY, at Dealey Media International, all spelled out, .com. On the subject line, put the name of your podcast so we can give you credit and I can know what I said and keep my word. But I'm excited to talk to anybody for that free consultation and see how I might be able to serve their business.
Sounds amazing. It sounds like you're doing great work for business owners out there. So thanks for coming. Appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next episode.